Okay, so it's uploading slowly because the bandwidth, yay. But this session is uploaded. Cool. So you don't need to take notes here. There are a lot of links in my session. It's on the page on midcamp.org. So if you just go to my session, there's a slide deck there. All of the links are in there. You don't need to write anything down. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm going to take a drink of water first. So, just to get a sense of the room, how many people here have been doing Drupal for less than a month? Okay, good. That's the right answer. How about less than a year? More? Okay, a few more. Okay, good. So I put this session together for people who are new to Drupal because I have helped a lot of people through Drupal, and I want to help more people kind of figure out what's going on. And I can't change slides.
You have to use the little arrow.
Heyo. All right. Cool. So, does this look like you maybe when you started trying to figure out Drupal? Most people when they start working on Drupal, they're really confused. They're like, here's this cool thing with stuff and things, and how do I do it? There's a lot out there, but it's the path forward is never quite clear. So again, you've got this great resource, but you don't know how to move forward. There's a huge number of resources, and there's really no good way to wade through that information. Some of it's great, some of it's not very good. There are hundreds and hundreds of people writing blog posts about how to do Drupal things, but you as a person just starting out aren't really going to know how to kind of figure out the good from the bad. So that's why you're here. We need to kind of help whittle down this paradox of choice that you have. When you have so many things, it's really hard to make a decision. This was a big thing in the early 2000s. I was putting this together and just read that it's being refuted, and a lot of people think that the whole paradox of choice thing isn't quite as much of a thing anymore as it was. But still, we've all been in a situation where we have a ton of choices, and you're given dozens of options. Or if you have the whole hex color palette and are told to pick a color, it's really hard. But if you're given red, green, and blue, you can pick your favorite one. That's the general idea. I want to get from the whole internet down to a clear direction forward. So we're not really going to do anything new. I don't have any great insights for you about the core of Drupal, or how we're going to kill all the divs, or how object-oriented programming is going to save the world. I think on a simpler level than that. So I just want to get people moving with Drupal and get people up to speed so that you can make something nice with this kind of crazy tool that we have. But first, quotes and things. I'm sure you've seen, whatever you do in life, surround yourself with smart people. I found this quote that adds on, "We'll argue with you." I went to the University of Chicago. I have kind of been brought up in this culture of argument, debate, discussion. And I think that's really important. And I think that's one of the great things about the Drupal community, is that there are a lot of really great people. And that was when I was looking at Drupal in 2007, 2008. Even then, there was a community of great people who could have a heated debate about why you needed to wrap something in a div, or why you needed to do something in PHP this way. And And I think that still lives on. You guys saw with the keynote, people are kind of loving each other a little bit more now. But still, Drupal's great because we have a lot of people who talk about things and argue about things, and in that argument, make things better. So first, a little bit about me. This is, I have to figure out, I'm a web project manager for the University of Chicago. Here's my coordinates. They're the links, again, on the presentation that you can download. I'm Froboy on Drupal and most places, and AJ Schwab, because there's some 8-year-old who's sitting on Froboy on Twitter. And
I couldn't kick him off.
But in addition to being a web project manager, I do more than that in my job. We're a small shop. There are basically 2 of us who are developers in our office. Before a year and a half ago, it was just me. So I'm a client manager, user research, I do site architecture, I wrangle content, I'm an interaction designer, a site builder, I make some custom modules sometimes because I need to, I write themes sometimes, I do QA. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Is there anybody else who does everything? Yeah. That's pretty much what we do as web developers now. Even if you are, if you have one job, that's your job, you're expected to know a lot of other things. And you're expected to kind of be knowledgeable across the board. So whether you're in a huge shop of 100 people and you're working on one site and just doing the front end of that site, or it's just you, I think there are opportunities for kind of gaining knowledge and being knowledgeable across the board. Server admin too. That sucks. I don't like that.
So what's your preference?
My preference? All of them. They're all fun at times and or horrible at times. I really like this picture. It's adorable. I'm just going to stay here for the rest of the presentation. So happy. I've been doing Drupal for 7 years now. And I've learned things. I wouldn't say I'm better. Drupal is a long tail, and it takes a long time, and you're always learning things. Don't think that just because you're just starting Drupal doesn't mean that you're slow, or if it takes you a long time, whatever. Drupal takes a long time. It's hard. Like I said, I've been doing it for 7 years, and very often still have no idea what I'm doing. And that's okay. Drupal 8 will hopefully fix those things, maybe, possibly.
Things you know if they introduce Drupal 8.
But Drupal 8, I don't know anything about object-oriented programming, but I'm going to learn some. So cool. So that's me and who I am and what I'm doing. So now I'm going to take you kind of through diving down, basically starting from what you need to know about everything to some really Drupal specific stuff. So this, like I said, there's no matter whether you are writing custom modules all of your time, or you're a content manager, you need to know about some basic stuff to do internet. So these are the things that you need to know. Have people heard about a book apart? A list apart was a website that started a long time ago. A book apart is basically the Cliff Notes of the internet. These are the things that you have to know. And in my opinion, like I said, whether you're a front-end developer or you're just writing custom modules all the time, you should know about all of these things. So go to abookapart.com, give them all your money. It's 100% worth it. I don't work for them, no affiliation. Each book is 50 pages or so, and they're really, really written as here's the very basic stuff you want to know about this thing. So there's HTML5, there's CSS3, there's content strategy, responsive web design, designing for emotion, mobile first, design as a job, content strategy, user research, SaaS. Those are all words that you've heard many times already today. And they're things that come up in every facet of what you're doing, whether it's Drupal, every facet of anything online. Whether it's doing Drupal or trying to talk to a client about why their content is 5 times longer than it should be. You should know these things. So, a book apart. It's a good place. Yeah?
Is it like a membership, you get all the books, or is it like you buy each book?
You can buy them all together. They're releasing new ones all the time. I think they're 10 now. They're like $5 or $10 each, and I think you can buy the whole set for $100 or so. But if you spend no more money on dead trees, you can do it. Buy this. They're ebooks too, but the paper books are pretty and nice, and they're really cool. Like I said, these are literally the people who wrote the book on these subjects. Responsive design is Ethan Marcotte. He invented responsive web design. There are a lot of other great people, and it's like the dream team of the internet. Is these people. So I can't talk enough about it, and every time I read one, I learn more. And they're also great because they have, every book has a ton of resources, and most of them have websites that go along with them. So if you decide you read 40 pages about SaaS and want to dig into it a ton more, they have all of the links on all of the stuff. Yes. So next is the code. So you're here, you have Drupal, you decide you want to use it, where do you go next? Well, in my opinion, you should really know some basics about HTML, CSS, and PHP to get a good kind of foundation of Drupal. These are a couple links that I've kind of dug up. There's a lot more, but like I said, I'm trying to get the basics of what you need. HTML, everybody knows HTML. In general, all of these links, I think, really work for people who are brand new or for people who have been here for a while. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm always learning new things. And in general, the whole idea of web development lately is you're learning all the time. You're always getting new information and trying to kind of keep up, really. So this HTML5 dive-in is a really neat resource.
Are you showing links? Because there's links up there.
Oh, no, I'm not. There we go. Yay. Cool. There's this dive into HTML5. It's a great kind of guide to HTML and really talks a lot in straightforward language about how HTML works, kind of what's new in HTML5, what you can do with it, and it's a really great resource. The CSS Tricks is a really cool website. So CSS, is your basics of styling. You may touch it, you may not, but still it's good to know kind of what it does. CSS is the wrapper that makes your websites look pretty and does fun things. So this website, CSS Tricks, they blog about lots of CSS stuff and lots of other kind of cool HTML things too. But they've got a great guide to CSS in general, and you can dig in there into kind of anything deeper. PHP is, again, the foundation language of Drupal. This woman, Emma Jane, she has done a ton of training on everything Drupal over a long period of time. She's got a video and some slides. Basically, she did a session for a while that was what you need to know, what PHP you need to know just to kind of be able to do a little bit of Drupal. It's a few years old now, and it mostly focuses on Drupal 6 and 7, but I think it's really useful just to kind of know about some arrays and variables. If you're going to touch any code at all, it's good to know a little bit about kind of what you're looking at. Again, just being able to look at something and have an idea of how it's working is really what you need to do most of your coding in Drupal. The vast majority of people who do any kind of coding in Drupal, custom modules or whatever, they're not writing something from scratch. It's not, you need to sit down and write 100 lines of code out of your head, or 1,000 lines of code, whatever. Most of what we do and what most shops do in general, you find something that's close to what you want, you grab it, you tweak it, it works. After 3 or 4, 8, 10 days, weeks of banging your head against the wall. Yeah, but if you know what you're looking for, it's a lot easier to figure it out and to be able to grab other people's code, reuse it yourself. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned. Is don't reinvent the wheel when there are already hundreds and hundreds of wheels out there. So, all right. So that's the basics that you need to know. But now we're going to go deeper into using Drupal. I said that before, I think, but whatever. So we're going to take a sip from the Drupals. So once you get your basics of HTML and CSS, there's Drupal. If you've ever looked at Drupal or tried to figure out, how to install it, how to view a block for the first time, how to, like they said in the keynote, get a WYSIWYG editor installed, it's not the most straightforward. Again, Drupal 8 might solve all of our problems, but it's not here yet. We still have Drupal 7. Things still aren't perfect. So the first section is a couple books. Beginning Drupal 7 is a really great resource. It goes into the basics of how to install, how to get your first site up and running, how to do some really basic things, content types, fields, views. These are things that you've probably heard if you've just started doing Drupal. They're really powerful tools, but if you don't know how to get started with them, it can be difficult to figure out. Using Drupal is also another great one. Jeff Eaton was one of the writers of the first version. There's a Drupal 7 version that's out now. It's also short. It's less than 100 pages, I think. But it's a really great resource for how to get your first Drupal site up and running. Again, getting over the first barrier can sometimes be really hard and daunting. And then once you get past that, you learn a lot of the tips, you learn a lot of the tricks to getting a site kind of spun up, and then you can move faster and faster with each site that you've built. There are also moving words and talking words. I just found out yesterday, for the first time, the Drupal Association YouTube account has every DrupalCon presentation ever. Yes, I had no idea. So there are dozens and hundreds of camps and cons like these. They've been going on since 2005 or something. Yeah, so they have a ton of great videos. Sometimes it's hard. There are a lot of video resources out there. I have problems watching them sometimes. You're sitting at a desk all day, you've got lots to do. It's really hard to commit to half an hour or an hour video of some guy that you don't know talking with some slides. But they're really, really useful. And if you can watch during lunch or carve out a piece of your afternoon or watch it on the train ride home, there are tons and tons of really, really amazing people talking about really useful things. The DrupalCons are a great way in general to learn about Drupal. So watch that. People pay $500,000 to go to these things, and afterwards, totally free. You can watch basically everything that happened on YouTube, which is a great resource. Our student Gamal told me about this Drupal Daily Dose recently. They're doing... Don't stop. They put a Drupal video out a day about a whole host of topics. Everything about everything. They're short, nice little videos. I think they're all less than 10 minutes, so those are a lot more easily consumable. Check that out. Again, there are tons of other blogs out there that have videos about Drupal. Those are a couple of the good ones. Yeah.
I was just going to mention two more.
Yeah, totally.
I started using Drupal about 2 or 3 years ago, and luckily I work for a company that would invest in the training for me. So I use Drupalize.me's training, and we're actually at the conference. We're giving away, I think, 3 Drupalize.me memberships for submitting your feedback form. There's going to be a raffle for that, and then also Lynda.com. If you guys have heard of that or have a membership to that, that's an awesome resource as well. They've got some good video training in there as well. So.
Yeah, get back up to Lynda. They have like a beginner and intermediate session, and it's about 14 hours of video total. With, like exercise files that you can sort of follow along, and it's not free, but if you can get it or get it, pay for it.
I think you can get the first week free too, which gives you a nice handle on what the advanced.
What you get into,
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Build a module.
Build a module.
Instead of training.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, there's like over, it's like 50 or 60 hours worth of videos, all broken down by different like theming, general like site building, advanced site building, developing, and you can see and dive into. Like for me, I only picked to choose a couple of specific things out of the section, so it was really cool.
What was that?
Build a
Build
module.
a module.
And it's relatively inexpensive too. I think it's $29 for a month's worth of access, but if you buy longer periods, it's even cheaper.
I think they just dropped it to like 25 and a half or something on its own price too.
Yeah, well, roughly around there. It seems pretty inexpensive. So if you plan on taking a week off or spending a weekend, you can knock out quite a bit.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
What about Drupal 8 and Symfony development? Where are the best resources to learn from now?
Say that?
Drupal 8 and Symfony development. It's not easy to find resources right now.
That's true.
And I'm very worried about that.
Me too.
Well, not because they're still building it. It's alpha right now, so it's not even like they're still massaging it to get it ready for release. So
It's not even to the first beta yet.
Yeah, where should I start? With Symfony or with building modules or downloading the new Drupal and trying? Where should I start?
I know they did, yesterday there was a training for module building for Drupal 8.
It was today, I think.
There's a session today too. Yeah, they did a paid training yesterday. Build a module may have some modules.
They have some videos just to give you like they have 4 hours right now, but they're adding weekly, so that might be a good place to start. But if do you program?
Well, yeah, but I'm planning a massive training in Mexico City for a lot of people about Drupal and Symfony.
You should find Larry Garfield, who did the keynote this morning. He'll be around today. He's the one to talk to about Symfony, and he's here right now. He's not going to be here, after Monday. You're not going to be here, so that's something that I didn't add. But camps and cons like this are an amazing way. Just being here and sucking in all of the Drupalness that's in one place.
That's why I came here to your talk.
I don't know anything about Symfony. I've never touched it.
But in terms of massive training, that is why I'm planning to make. I need to grab resources, record the resources in order to put them on.
James,
I thought of something else. Drupalize.me also has a program right now. If you guys have local meetup groups, they'll give you guys a free membership for your local meetup group to use in your meetings. So
Yeah, if you're planning on showing it to a bunch of people, I saw that recently. You can just write them an email, and within a couple days, yeah, you can get free access to their stuff. Yeah, cool. Good luck with that, though. Let me know what you find. Honestly, and you know, I think this is great. That one of the reasons I kind of did this is to get people together who you know, can share these resources. So yeah.
It is amazing though, just about anything you want to learn something about, just putting it in the YouTube search and all the videos that pop up on all kinds of weird subjects.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. There's a
You can't
literally a ton of resources out there.
Wrong.
Yeah. So next, I'm gonna give a little bit. Yeah, I like that one too. So you've installed Drupal, or you're ready to install Drupal. Here are kind of the basics of what you need to get going with Drupal and to get questions answered. Oh no, down. Okay. So you need a local stack to get going with Drupal stuff at all. If you haven't heard, there's XAMPP, isn't it? Basically, MAMP, WAMP. There's also the Acquia dev stack. These stand for Mac or Windows, Acquia or Apache, MySQL, PHP. So those are kind of the basic pieces that run Drupal either on your local computer so you can develop, or on a server. These are all links in my in the PDF to instructions about those. Takes a little bit of work. The Acquia dev stack is really cool too. It's basically a prepackaged installer. They have it for Mac, Windows, probably Linux, everything. So you can download it and have all of the tools to run Drupal right out of the box. Another thing that you really, really need to get as soon as you install Drupal is Drush. That's the Drupal shell, right? Drupal shell. So that lets you, even if you've never done anything on the command line, it's worth getting and figuring out. It simplifies a ton of the development and the work that you're going to do on Drupal. You can install a module with one line of text instead of a dozen clicks.
Install a whole site with one line of text.
You can install a whole site with one line of text. You can update all of your modules. You can clone your database. You can do a ton of stuff. The documentation is up on their GitHub site. It's linked again there, and you know, people have done whole day trainings on Drush, and it's a really, really amazing tool. It's really important, and more it's becoming the way everybody does stuff with Drupal. Again, don't be afraid of the command line. Don't be afraid of the code. It's not that hard. There's lots of documentation, and it will make your life so much better. So, Drupal.org project pages. You've probably all been here to find a module. You know, anybody who's installed Drupal knows that D7 doesn't come with a lot out of the box. It comes with more than D6, but you're going to have to install at least 5 or 6 modules to do something productive, or a dozen or 5 dozen. And Drupal.org is where you're going to get them. These project pages, though, have a lot more than just the download link for your module. The project pages list how often a project is used. Right above the download links, you can see whether 20 people or 200,000 people are using this module. And that's a really good way of kind of determining how the module is going to work and how it's going to live on in the future. If you see that 200,000 people are using a module, it's probably safe to use. If you see that 20 people are using it, you might want to do a little more research before you download it and run it on your production site. You can also see when it was updated last. You can see how different the dev and production releases are, which is often very great. I don't know about other people, but the current Drupal 7 site I'm building has like less than half of the modules running in full production ready state, most of them are dev releases that, you know, there's some feature or whatever that that I needed, or just, you know, they haven't pushed a production version forever. That's life at the moment. So, but it's good to know, and you need to read the comments in the issue queue to figure out what's there. Again, documentation is hard, and Drupal has a lot of problems with it. You can help that tomorrow. Come to the sprints. You don't have to know anything about code. You don't even have to code tomorrow if you don't want to. There's tons of work being done on documentation, so you can come and just tell people how to do things, which is really hard. So yeah, the issue queue on the project pages is a really, really great resource. That's basically where all of the conversations about all of the things Drupal happen. You can find it on the right side of the module pages. You can search for something, or you can see how many bugs or issues are out there. You really need to go in there if you're going to do any kind of work on you know, installing any module. You can go through and read on exactly what's happening, what's broken, what needs to be fixed, what patches you need to put on to get something to work. It's a really, really good place to learn. And contribute. One of the biggest things you'll hear in Drupal is you need to contribute. And whether, if you're here, I'm assuming you're just starting. And one of the greatest things you can do is just go into the issue queue and say, this broke, or I don't know how to do this. Can somebody write me documentation? Or can somebody else show me how to write documentation? Just commenting on the issue queue is a great way to get started and get your name out there and get help. I've heard more than once in this weekend, you know, two people meeting a person who had no idea, you know, submitted a question on the issue queue. Somebody, you know, the module maintainer, the guy who wrote it, commented and said, thanks, that's a really great idea, or here's how you do this. And there's a really great dialogue that happens there. So it's definitely worth checking out and reading into those issues to kind of get involved. There we go. Once you dive into the code a little bit more, when in doubt, DSM, or DPM, as I've found is the preferred name now. This is Drupal print message. Basically, once you turn the develop module on, what you have to do to get this to work, if you do this and don't turn the develop module on, nothing happens, and you'll be really confused because your debugging doesn't do anything. You have to turn the develop module on to get this to work. So anywhere in the PHP, anywhere, you can put this in a core module, you can put this in a custom module, you can put this in a theme template. You can do DSM or DPM and any variable or just hello world or whatever, and it'll print on your Drupal, on your screen. So this is really amazing to figure out what the heck is happening, because it's hard to know. It's really, really hard to know what variables are around, what arrays you have, what anything that you can modify will come through this if you declare it. Yeah.
I just wanted to point something out about DSM. If the theme, whatever the theme the site has already disabled messages, you will also not see anything from DSM.
Yes, that's a very good point. Your site, your theme has to have the messages blocked there. If your theme has disabled the messages block, that might be a bad thing anyway. But
and that's typically what you run into.
Yes.
You're fighting a broken site that you have no idea what you're trying to do triage.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a really great way to troubleshoot and debug Drupal, which is often this giant black box that you just have no way of getting into. DSM, DPM, whatever. DPM, I looked at, you can look at the API. I forgot this in here, but api.drupal.org. Don't be scared of the API. It's just a bunch of documentation. It's one of the best pieces of documentation that Drupal has. You can go to api.drupal.org and basically look at every single piece of code in Drupal on any website. Just go there. I saw that DSM is really just a wrapper for DPM, and it just sends whatever you send it to DPM. So use DSM if you want to, because it's still there and it works just fine.
Just trying to get you switched.
So there are more resources. As I said, there's a ton of stuff. There's a Drupal mentoring project that's been going on the last couple of years. This is hooking up Drupal core developers with new folks to get them more interested about and more kind of spun up on Drupal. So you can go to, I think it's drupalmentoring.org, but the link is there. The Drupal Ladder is also a news site that's been around not too long. It's a lot of things similar to this that are kind of courses on how to get spun up with a typical particular topic in Drupal. And it really takes you step by step through the resources that you need to read to get to a certain point. Their goal is to get, I think, 1% of all Drupal users contributing to core, but it's not just about contributing to core. It's a great way to just find a topic and figure out exactly the steps you need to learn to get there. Also, Stack Overflow, there's Drupal answers on Stack Overflow. It's a great resource, kind of separate from Drupal.org. Sometimes has better things. Stack Overflow is a great kind of site for, it lets you vote answers up and down. So the good things float to the top, whereas the Drupal issue queue can just be hundreds of comments long, and you may not know what's useful and what's not. Generally, if you scroll to the bottom, you can kind of figure that out. But yeah, somebody should write a module that flips flips the queue upside down, so you can just see the.
There was that girl from I think UIC. Where was it?
At the last camp?
Yeah, at the last camp, who actually built a module that goes on Drupal.org, or a extension that goes on Drupal.org that allows you to vote up and down. So.
Oh, interesting.
I forget what it's called though. But
that's really cool. Yeah, so there's so much out there. I hope I gave you a few things. Thank you for coming. Thanks to Gamal and Thalia for helping, and everybody who helped out, kind of giving more resources. As I said, being a part of the community is the biggest thing that you can take away from any camp or con or session. You're here, which is a great thing. So keep it up and keep talking to people and meeting people. Questions, comments, snores? Yeah.
What is a sprint? A sprint tomorrow.
Where is it?
What exactly?
What is it? So a sprint is basically it's a time where people get together, everything from core maintainers to people who've never touched Drupal before, and just work for a day. So there'll be people around who are managing and kind of have to-do lists, and basically you come and you show up with your computer and you say, I'm ready to do something. And somebody who's a maintainer will come to you, help you get spun up, help you create an account, get whatever installed on your computer you need to do, and then give you a task. So it's a way to get more people contributing to modules and core and documentation. So it's just a day where people work together. That's it.
I was just going to say that is a big part of the sprint is getting new people involved. So you've always got people there that will be able to help you, and they'll even pick out issues that maybe they think you can work on, and then help you work through it just so you can see how an issue gets handled.
There's also on Drupal.org, they've actually created a specific tag for issues that are easy. I think it's like amateur or something. It's totally true. There are hundreds and hundreds of issues out there that aren't hard. They're not code intensive. They're not complicated. They just need somebody to look at them and say, okay, do this. That's a really great way to get started contributing too. They'll probably be doing some of that tomorrow. But yeah, you don't need to have crazy PHP. You just need to be alive and want to help. That's honestly, that's getting people just working on stuff is a huge barrier. So come tomorrow, hang out, we'll feed you. James.
I was just going to mention, from all my experience in Drupal, what you give is what you get back. So getting involved in things like sprints allows you to meet the people who can answer your questions later. So that's a great resource for you. Even if it's just writing up documentation, building those relationships with those people that can later help you, it's an awesome thing to do. So, and you're helping out the community in general. So.
Yeah, Gene.
And the thing you mentioned, I found in my notes, it's called Prosit.
Yeah, Prosit.
P-R-O-C-A.
Yeah, Prosit. It's a browser extension that allows you to basically queue different answers. This was a good answer, this was a bad answer. It elevates it, you can weight them, and do some other comments behind the scenes. So.
Okay. Prosit.
Yeah,
Check it out.
I'll tweet out a link, now that I know what it's called. I'll tweet out a link with the MidCamp hashtag if you guys want to.
Cool.
By the way, since this is a new group, a lot of new people, contributing is a good way to get your name out there for when employers want to look at you. When you submit your resume and stuff somewhere and they find out, you tell them what your contributor tag is, they can actually go and look at the type of things that you've done. And if they see you doing a lot of contributing, you're putting in good stuff that hardly ever gets rejected, they're going to say, hey, this is the guy we want to hire. So,
right. And like I said, just commenting on issues is that's more than 50% of people do. If you just comment on a few issues, you're already ahead of the game. Just saying, this doesn't work, this is a problem, whatever. Yeah? Thank you guys. Please go to the feedback forum, midcamp.org/feedback. Tell us all about the camp. You can tweet me at AJ Schwab or come up and tell me that I was boring or dumb or that I helped you. That would be awesome. Thank you.